Scoobtober? Scooby-Doo!
Hey, welcome back to Scoobtober. This is the finale to the month-long celebration, and if you're seeing it the day it releases, happy Halloween! If not, never mind then. Last week we looked at another heavily requested villain that gave viewers nightmares, and today we're looking at a third very iconic spirit. Like the previous spook, we're staying with the original Scooby-Doo Where Are You for the 6th episode, What the Heck's Going On? The spirit in question? The ghost of Elias Kingston. Premiering in October of 1969, the visuals of the episode are more iconic than usual since many shots from it are used in the opening credits of the show, including the very first thing we see in the episode. One of the costumes in Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed is speculated to also be based on the ghost of the episode, though it doesn't look very much like him, so that remains to be seen. Elias was also brought back for the premiere episode of Be Cool, Scooby-Doo, so we'll take a look at that later too. But let's start off with the original ghoul himself. The episode opens up on that iconic Kingston mansion, as a truly terrifying voice rings out. Major props to Elias Kingston's voice actor, the legend himself, John Stevenson, who we briefly discussed in the first video of this miniseries as the voice of Ebenezer Crab. The voice, simply repeating "come," has a man entranced as he walks toward it against his will. We haven't even really seen anything yet, and already this episode has genuine fear factor played up. Meanwhile, the gang is on their way to their friend Sharon's estate nearby, invited for the weekend. As they pull up, they see the man and are confused as to why he would go into such a creepy place. When they meet Sharon and her father, they hear about all the strange things that have been seen and heard lately, and worse, that her uncle Stuart is missing now. Daphne wonders if he's the man they saw, so they decide to go check. They don't find anything until they see someone in the shadows who seems to be Stuart, except he's an elderly man now. At home, he explains how he was entranced to leave, past the Kingston mausoleum, and go into the mansion, where inside he was met by the ghost of Elias Kingston. The ghost told him the Weatherby fortune belongs to him, and aged him, cursing the entire family to suffer the same fate if he doesn't have said fortune. Shout out to the sound work here, also adding to the chilling effect. The phone line is dead, so Mr. Weatherby heads off to get the sheriff, while the gang stay to watch Stuart and keep guard. Fred designates Scooby as the first to be watchdog, especially because of his great sense of hearing, and Scooby tries to play hard of hearing to get out of it, but they don't buy that. Scooby passes out on the job anyway, and with the window open and the wind flowing through, the ghostly voice haunts its way through into reaching Stuart's ears. Scooby's own ear tries to wake him up where he finds the empty chair, so he grabs a bugle to call the others. They find no sign of Stuart, and now Sharon is missing, so they head to the Kingston mansion. While they look around, Velma asks what Shaggy has on his feet as we find a loud noise is being produced by skates he's hoping will help him outrun the specter. They pass by a bookcase which slides to reveal a hidden room that Elias pops out of, hiding Sharon tied up, which is another iconic visual from the opening credits sequence of the show. He follows, providing a gust of air to push Shaggy on his skates uncontrollably into the bathtub, which is yet another iconic visual from the opening credits that derives from this specific episode. Scooby, looking for some food, encounters a dog, which Velma declares their first clue. Why would a ghost need a watchdog? Shaggy makes a grim discovery, especially terrifying for a younger audience to see, as Stuart has aged so much he's fully skeletonized. As Fred wishes for another clue, Shaggy offers it, sitting right on his shoulder. The ghoulish blue phantom says this is the last warning before the entire family is aged, and back outside they see him walk into the mausoleum. They have Shaggy dust for fingerprints, though it doesn't help much that he dusts her hand, and when he does dust the doorknob, it's covered in fingerprints even though a ghost shouldn't theoretically leave them. They open the door and a bat flies out, so Fred suggests Scooby take a look. He finally agrees at the offer of 4 Scooby snacks, but Shaggy intercepts.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo!
He looks around and gives them the all clear, so everyone enters and Velma finds a book on crystallomancy.
Crystallomancy? I used to know a crystal nerdlinger.
We'll ignore that it's supposed to be crystallomancy for the sake of that joke. Velma explains it's a guide to using a crystal ball like a fortune teller, and Fred remembers a place like that in town, but before they can go, the spirit locks them in. They try tapping on the walls until Scooby finds a hidden entrance, which the entire gang use as they spin around until they're thrown. It turns out it was a secret passage to the Weatherby estate, of which Daphne wonders if it's related to Sharon's disappearance as they drive out to meet the fortune teller. The place is empty though, so Daphne checks the storage closet and everything piles out. A customer enters the shop, so as to not seem suspicious, Scooby poses as the fortune teller himself, with Shaggy passing as the voice.
What do you see in the crystal ball?
My reflection.
But she doesn't like what she eventually hears.
I want my palm red.
Yes, ma'am. You did say red.
How dare you!
She storms out, and looking around more, Velma notices the table begin to float. Inside the crystal ball, they see the face of the ghost, warning that they will pay as the table chases them across the room. Once it finally crashes with Scooby, they find a fan was propelling it, and they notice a suitcase and a makeup kit, along with a mini TV camera. They realize the camera was how the ghost appeared in the crystal ball using a TV screen inside, though I'm not sure how it works really, especially in 1969. Back at the Kingston mansion, the boys call out for the ghost with a treasure chest, and the ghost appears for his fortune. Upon opening, however, it's a fake, so he chases them as they run through a curtain. Shaggy pushes out his shoes clues and gets the ghost to punch, hitting an anvil. They then put the rest of their plan into action as a projection of Shaggy from the camera runs past Elias, followed by duplicates of himself which scares him. Not sure how they're projecting though, since they just have the camera itself and that crystal ball TV. Their final plan sees a giant Scooby projected onto the wall as Elias runs away into the bookcase. He believes he's still in the clear with Sharon, but in her place is the skeleton, so he runs back out and right into the net. Back home, the guys wash all of the makeup off and reveal to the Weatherbeast that Elias is none other than Uncle Stuart. He wanted the family fortune himself, using a recording for the voice and all the makeup they found. Also, shout out to Daphne's voice coming out of Velma.
And by a clever use of makeup, he made himself look old.
It turns out Sharon saw Stuart's elderly wig fall off, so he had to take her to keep her from telling the others. They try to say the fortune teller stuff was Stuart's alias to get away after. That really doesn't make sense, honestly. We can speculate on that more later. They get dinner as a thank you, but Shaggy finds it's already been hit. In, I suppose, an alternate universe, Be Cool Scooby-Doo introduces Elias Kingston University, where we see the ghostly Elias is now haunting instead of a mansion. This is the first time I've actually talked about this show beyond a passing mention, actually. This is the series premiere episode, Mystery 101. A fitting place to start covering it, I guess. Velma, meanwhile, is nervous about her interview with the university, and Mitchell, an employee at a little gassy, tells them about the specter haunting it and all the students running away. He's randomly voiced by Court Overstreet from Glee, for all my Gleeks. They check out the statue of Kingston where they meet the security guard Joe, who's looking for suspects, and Velma goes to meet the dean, who's frazzled because of what's been happening. He believes Elias must be sticking to his vindictive ideals to scare away unworthy students, and Fred offers to solve the mystery with the dean, who says Velma can prove she's Kingston material by doing this, and that failure means never getting in. Outside, they finally see the spirit who boosts from the tower to in front of them and chases them off the property. Going over the university blueprints, we find from Velma that it was built around the Kingston Manor and is extremely deadly. They decide to investigate what once was the manor and are scared by the ghost, but it's just the statue again. With some help from the security guard, they venture inside the dean's office where the trio find a list of students who decline to attend out of fear, realizing the college still kept their money after, and also discovers some kind of serial code. The boys go up to investigate the tower where the ghost usually appears, but it's boarded up, so they go to the cafeteria instead. They end up in a bit of a predicament with a vending machine, and worse, the ghost appears while they're stuck. They believe they're at least safe inside, but... They bounce the machine until it falls and breaks, starting the chase leading to the library where the others found a book the code led them to. After they effectively destroy the place and finally escape, Velma is more discouraged about getting in than ever.
And my me puppet is missing a button.
And I swallowed a button.
They go over the clues, including the book, which is about the science of laser optics, which gives Fred an idea. He tries to make his way out to the tower, but slips, so the boys have to go help as the ghost appears to untie the rope, and they go flying. Daphne backs up with the rope, but right into the ghost where she falls back out the window. Velma jumps out as he follows, and a second ghost appears up in the tower somehow. Fred throws a brick, revealing it to be a holographic projection on glass. Daphne falls back down, and the ghost actually helps pull her up before falling back and getting trapped himself. They unmask him, revealing the Mitchell guy from the gas station voiced by Sam from Glee. Turns out, he was told he wasn't Kingston material and wanted revenge, hoping to scare away enough students until they had no choice but to accept him. Velma reveals he had help though, an inside man on the job, that being the security guard Joe, who's actually his dad. He would signal his son with the tower version of the ghost where Mitchell would appear in his costume, but the plan wasn't working, so they decided to frame the dean for fraud, the papers being forged by Joe, the only person who would have access. The dean decides Velma is Kingston material, but she respectfully decides for now she's better off with her friends.
I wish I had some of those.
I'm uncomfortable.
And that's the ghost of Elias Kingston. Both versions. The Be Cool version doesn't really have any nightmare fuel, but that was the point of that show. It exists to be a comedy, and it did make me laugh a few times. As for the original, there's plenty to understand why such an iconic specter gave so many people nightmares that he was so unanimously brought up to be featured. From the realistically freaky skeleton body of Stuart, the eerie voice as he calls out sending people into a trance, his chilling blue skin or his ability to age you to literal death. If the Puppet Master's design itself wasn't anything scary, Elias Kingston has one right out of your dreams, and not the kind you want to have. And when it comes to the visuals and ambiance of the rest of the episode, it's all over the opening credits of the show for a reason. The designs, background art, spooky architecture of places like the Kingston Mansion or Mausoleum, and haunting atmosphere of the entire episode make it one of the best in that regard. And who knows what Uncle Stuart would have been willing to do to get the family fortune? He already kidnapped Sharon. Would he have killed her if he hadn't gotten it? Or his brother? How far would he have gone if the gang had not stopped him? He was already planning to escape as the fortune teller apparently, so he very well could have planned to do away with them both and live under a new name if that was the implication. If so, that definitely puts him up there as a dangerous foe. Also, shout out to Stefania Christofferson in the episode. She's the OG voice of Daphne in the first season here, but she also voices Sharon in the episode, and both of them have completely distinct voices I never would have known were both her if I hadn't seen the credits.
Could it have been him that we saw going into that old mansion?
Gee, it's sure good to see all of you. But I hope this wasn't the wrong weekend for you to come up here.
Did the ghost of Elias Kingston ever scare you? And what do you think of all those iconic visuals of the episode? We'll definitely be talking more about the best spooks of the franchise you want to see later, so look out for the poll to vote on which comes next when the time comes. If you've watched all 5 videos for every Monday of Scoobtober, thank you. I started work on them back in September immediately after the final video of that month to make this happen, because otherwise more than 2 is impossible, and worked my ass off to get them ready in time. For all we know, this could be the only Scoobtober on the channel, so go big or go home. Expect 2 videos at most a month from here though, so don't get too used to it. If you liked the video in celebration, like the video for my little algorithm thing, subscribe to see what's next, like the upcoming video on Scooby-Doo, Pirates Ahoy, and the rest of the What's New era films, or the Nutcracker Scoob coming this Christmas. That's the end of this video. Bye!
We hired these actors to stage a reenactment.
I think we're done here.
We still getting paid?